Hi guys, welcome back to The Baseline. Thanks for joining me again. Hope you guys are having a great day. Today we're going to be talking about missiles, money, and the mineral wars. Israel's Iron Dome versus China's rare earth grip on the earth. So let's get real for a second. Now, you can print money, right? And you can print debt. But the one thing we can't really print is missiles. You can't 3D print a supply chain at gunpoint when the factories across the ocean in a rival's backyard, right? And right now, Israel and the United States are learning that lesson somewhat the hard way, with the Iron Dome interceptors burning faster than they can be built, and China holding the keys to the minerals that make modern warfare possible right now. So buckle up, guys. This is interesting. This isn't just about Gaza or Hezbollah. Now, this is about the next war, the one you win or lose before a single shot is actually fired. Now, what's the cost of catching rockets? So here's the first truth, the first truth bomb, as it were, right? Israel's Iron Dome works, but it comes with a price tag that could make a billionaire somewhat sweat. Now, every Tamir interceptor that the Iron Dome's workhouse costs about $40,000 to $100,000 each. And during the last big rocket barrage, Israel fired thousands of those. So if you do the math, that's like tens of millions burned just to swat down homemade rockets that cost maybe a few $100 to make, right? Now, talk about asymmetric warfare. Hamas fires a metal tube for the cost of a used iPhone at Israel, who shoots it down with something worth more than a Tesla or a Lamborghini. I don't know. So here's the kicker. The Iron Dome supply isn't bottomless. Most of those interceptors, they're built in Israel with U.S. parts funded by United States tax dollars and restocked through United States factories. But guess what? The same United States factories are already running hot supplying Ukraine and planning ahead for Taiwan. So there's a lot going on, right? You've got one production line feeding three hungry mouths: Israel, Ukraine, and America's own back pocket, in case China does get frosty in the Taiwan Strait. Now, unfortunately, we can't print these missiles, right? So let's break it down. And Uncle Sam can't hit print on $1 trillion in stimulus cash overnight, although it seems like we've seen that show before. But you can't click a button and drop a pallet of missiles out of thin air. You need rare earths like samarium, neodymium, elements that we were never taught in high school, right? That's why I can't pronounce them. But without them, no heat-resistant magnets for F-35 jets or engines, no precision guiding for missiles, no top-tier radar arrays. And who's the kingpin for processing those minerals? You guessed it, it's China. China mines about 60% of all the world's rare earth, but processes nearly 90%. They don't just dig it up, they turn it into usable parts. And that's where the United States has boxed itself in for decades. Back in the 80s and 90s, American companies figured, hey, mining's dirty business, processing is even dirtier, let's offshore it to China. They'll handle the toxic sludge, we'll handle the profit. And for a while, it worked. But fast forward to today, China climbed the ladder. They own the refining technology, the plants, and the machine tools. So even if Australia or the United States digs more out of the ground, guess where they send it for processing? It goes right back to China. So the dilemma seems to be very clear in our face. But now here's what makes a lot of this stuff wild, right? When the United States hits China with tariffs or blacklists chip makers, Beijing doesn't need a missile test to retaliate. They've just tightened the valve on rare earth exports. They've done it before. Ask Japan. Ask Europe. Ask the Pentagon. When China puts a no export sticker on rare earths for military use, that's a kill switch for half the fancy weapons that we all brag about having. Now, you can't bomb your way out of a supply chain chokehold. And that's probably got to be a frustrating thing for the United States and a lot of other countries. You can't sanction your way around it overnight. You either rebuild the capability at home, which takes years and buckets of cash, or you keep begging the guy who wants leverage over you. And China, they know that. That's why they keep civilian supply flowing for cars, batteries, wind turbines. But anything that might end up in a missile or a jet, good luck with that. Fill out the paperwork, hope for an export license, and pray you get it. So who really wins at this game? And that's an interesting question too. How does this loop back to Israel and Gaza? Simple. Missile defense only works if you can reload faster than your enemy can fire. Now, the Iron Dome eats rockets for breakfast, but it needs a fresh batch of Tamirs every time breakfast is served. Now, if the United States can't deliver because it's shipping Patriots to Ukraine and China tightening the rare earth tap, well, what do you do then? It's like having a Ferrari with no gas stationed for 500 miles out. It looks good until you push the pedal. And here's where the asymmetric warfare hits again, right? Hamas or Hezbollah or whoever else can whip up a cheap drone with a lawnmower engine, they can launch it for pennies. Israel scrambles an F-16 with a multi-million-dollar missile to swat it out of the air. And then what? It works, but is it really sustainable? It's the same playbook in Ukraine, right? Cheap Russian drones built with Iranian blueprints and Chinese parts. Blowing up Western armaments and worth millions, billions. It's a grind, and in a grind, cheap and plenty beats fancy and scarce just about every time. Now, here's a dirty secret about defense, and this is where it gets uncomfortable. You think like the Pentagon and its contractors would fix this overnight, right? But the truth is the United States defense industry designed to funnel money upwards, not necessarily win wars cheap. So weapons contracts get padded, costs overrun, and stack up, and shareholders smile. Senators get their cut, and efficiency, not exactly the priority here. So that's why an F-35 program can balloon into the $1 trillion club, because each tweak, each part, each fix rings the cash register again and again and again. Meanwhile, China and Iran, they build drones in stripped down factories with bare bones engines. Cheap, simple, mass produced. It's not sexy, but they work. And if they get shot down, so what? They'll build 100 more. What do you guys think? By next Tuesday. So good luck doing that with a missile that takes 2 years and a half, maybe, a Fortune 500 payroll just to make. So here's an interesting analogy to put with it, right? Picture this. You're at a Wendy's screaming about war plans, screaming about bombs and battleships, and China's the bored cashier, just trying to get your burger order straight. Now, that's how Beijing sees all this. The United States rants about war. China wants to keep the line moving, right? They don't want to wreck the United States economy today. They want the customer to still be somewhat alive. Keep buying cheap Chinese consumer goods. Keep the trade balance tipping. But here's the thing. If push comes to shove, if the next Taiwan or South China Sea showdown heats up, China can flip that mineral switch without firing one shot. And let's not kid ourselves. Uncle Sam can't just drill baby drill its way out of something like this overnight. The mines are here, the minerals are here, but the refining technology, the skilled labor, the pollution loopholes, all of that resides in China's court. So rebuilding that at home is years out, maybe decades, unless somebody wants to tank an election by opening a toxic rare earth refinery next to grandma's house. So, interesting times for sure, right? What does this all mean for Israel? What does it mean for the United States? What does it mean for Ukraine? For the world, it means the West is fighting two wars at once. One on the battlefield and the other in the supply chain. So you don't win by outspending the other guy if the other guy controls the parts you need to spend that money on, if that makes any sense. You win by either out-innovating or out-scaling. And right now, we're doing neither fast enough. So, every interceptor fired over Gaza, every Patriot battery rolled into Eastern Europe, that's one more chip off a stockpile that's not replenishing itself overnight. And the factories that could refill it, they're still beholden to a mineral bottleneck halfway around the world. So here's the big question, guys. Are we ready for a world where the winner of tomorrow's war isn't the one with the biggest bombs, but the one with the deepest mines and the cleanest refineries? Are we going to wake up before the next crisis hits? Or are we going to keep screaming at the Wendy's while the cashier holds up the receipt and the keys? Anywho, guys, really interesting times. Thank you so much for watching The Baseline. And remember, we all get better, we all do better when we succeed. And when we succeed, we're helping each other, we're thinking more clearly, we're thinking more deeply and acting more wisely, and we're doing it together. So I appreciate this time, and I appreciate you guys watching. All right, thanks a lot, guys. We'll catch you the next round. Cheers, everybody.